Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast, presents episode 516, Let the Game Begin, recorded live on November 5th, 2015. Hello everyone, welcome to Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast. I'm your host, Storm.
And I'm your other host, Biowolf.
And I'm your third host, Haas.
And I'm Godzilla T. We're all here tonight.
Yes, we have the whole gang here tonight, which is awesome. Lots of Halo 5 goodness coming down the pipeline. Lots of Halo 5 goodness already here. Lots of different things to talk about. Lots of stuff that we're going to be talking about over the next 2 or 3 months or so. And we're changing things up a little bit for the podcast format. We're going to kind of go back to how we did stuff back in the Halo 2 and Halo 3 days, but compress it down a little bit. So back in the early days of Podtacular, when Fumo and JVB were still hosting it, we actually did different topics on different podcasts. So we'd actually span out the month and do 4 different segments. We would do a campaign segment, we would do a multiplayer segment, we would do a customs and creation segment, and then we would do a Tales from the Foxhole, which was kind of like funny stories, really random stuff that happened that we would get people sending in. But we're going to kind of consolidate that all into one show. We're going to be doing 2 to 3 campaign missions, or 1 campaign mission, depending on how long the missions are for us to discuss. We're going to be talking about multiplayer maps, probably 2 or 3 of them, a game mode, and then we're going to be touching on some of the news. And then depending on what kind of submissions that we get for people submitting stories, or once we actually get Forge, custom creations, screenshots, all that kind of stuff, we'll expand that piece into our kind of collage of different topics that we'll be talking about on the show. So a little bit of a format change, just kind of wanted to bring everyone up to speed. Hopefully that makes listening a little bit easier for you guys, so you kind of know what you're getting from a podcast to podcast basis. This doesn't mean that we're not going to be having special guests on or have special topic podcasts. We'll definitely have those kind of intertwined between different episodes, depending on who we can get, when we can get them, all that kind of stuff. But for our quote-unquote regular shows, now we're going to be doing campaign, multiplayer, news, and any kind of submissions that we get. So just wanted to kind of brief everyone on that. But first of all, let's hit with some of the news. The Halo World Championship, which is going to be starting next month for the qualifiers and actually has the finals in March of 2016. They announced an initial prize pool of $1 million, and that has increased to $1.5 million thanks to the purchase of rec packs. So everyone that's been spending a heck of a ton of money on rec packs, thanks to you, you just kind of helped promote the competitive scene and help fund a bigger prize pool for the Halo World Championship come March of next year. How awesome is that? How crazy is that?
That's nuts. And then you see somebody tweeted out that it's only $600K from passing the League of Legends championship prize pool. And I mean, that's that's not a small check that is getting handed out. So it's going to be crazy to see where it's going to go.
It's a lot of cash.
It's ridiculous. And it's going to be continuing to grow too, because as they get more revenue from rec pack sales, this is going to be increasing even more. So This is just after a week or so of the game being out, and they've already raised enough money to bump up the prize pool to $1.5 million, increase the prize pool by 50%.
Yep.
That is insane.
So, yeah.
So, way to go, community.
Think about all the people that are going to get 1 Microsoft points for Christmas, or those gift cards. And then on top of that, the people that are getting Halo 5. I mean, there's a lot to be said and a lot to be purchased in the rec pack form.
There definitely is. And we will be doing... So I just got paid today. So like everyone else has been doing on YouTube and streaming and whatnot, we're going to be doing some rec pack openings. I will be spending some money on rec packs for the first time. Going to be buying 20 gold and 20 silver just to kind of do a comparison, and that'll be right around $100. So I'll be contributing to the problem as well. But has anyone else here bought rec packs? Has anyone in the stream bought rec packs yet?
I've bought 2 so far.
And let me clarify, bought with money, not with rec points, with money.
Yeah, no, with money. With actual, like I use my debit card with it.
I made it rain for a day, and then I realized, whoops, made it rain a little too much.
I'm still recovering from the purchasing of Halo 5, so I've had no money to buy them with.
And that's why I kind of waited to get my paycheck today so I could actually go and buy some stuff. So I'll be doing that probably next week. I'll probably stream it on Twitch and then upload a video to YouTube on my whole opening, because that's a thing. A lot of people want to see it because they want to see the nice rare emblems, armors. Assassinations are super rare. Stances are super rare. Legendary weapons, all that kind of stuff. It's definitely an addiction, or it can be an addiction. I know there's several people that have gone crazy with the money on it.
People have donated money to YouTubers just so they can open them up. Like that's...
Yeah, if anyone wants to do that for us, I'll be happy to take it and open rec packs on stream. I will do it. If anyone wants to donate. Yes, I will do it. Feel free to donate and put in there that you want it to go straight to rec pack openings, and we will do it. I don't think we're big enough to warrant that. But if anyone has the urge to give us money for that, we will be more than happy to open rec packs.
The disposable income to fund Dust's habit. I mean, the rec pack openings.
I don't see a problem with that.
I don't have a problem. It's not a problem.
I don't have a problem. What are you talking about? So from the Twitch chat, we have quite a few no's, and Griffith actually says he's bought 5 golds with money. So it seems like the overall consensus is people, at least in our Twitch chat, not quite biting the bullet on buying air key boots. Not yet an addiction. I haven't bought any yet with real money. So
you will.
Yeah. I know I'm going to be spending $100 for sure, just to do kind of a comparison with 20 silvers, 20 golds type of thing. Do it on the stream, upload it to YouTube, all that stuff. After that, we'll see. We'll see how far it goes. Hopefully not that far. Anywho,
yeah.
A few other...
Speaking of which, how did you guys do on your Warzone packs?
I got the Blaze of Glory.
Cool.
And I got a spin something assassination.
Oh, nice.
And a new emblem, some armor pieces. That's about it.
I got a couple of weapon certifications, sniper rifle, and a saw certification. You know,
nice.
I only already had 50 of them, of the saws, not the certifications.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was pretty weak overall. Yeah, I currently have 35 saws, and then I did pick up. Oh, I take that back. I picked up a certification for Appetite for Destruction, which is like a tier 2 saw.
Nice. Saws are very useful for close quarters.
Yeah.
Very nice. Mending says he bought $25 of Frex so far. Very nice. And yeah, it looks like just those 2 people so far. So back to the Halo World Championship, they also released some of the region info that's going to be going on during the qualifier. So the qualifiers open in December, and then the finals will end in March of 2016. So there's going to be 8 teams coming from North America, 4 teams from Europe and the Middle East and Africa region, 2 teams from Australia and New Zealand, 1 team from Latin America, and then 1 team from Asia. So they're actually going worldwide with this thing, which is nice. It's nice to see that it's not just the US or the US, Australia, and England, or those kind of places where
the superpowers.
I was going to say more along the lines where this kind of a game flourishes. Yeah. Be a little more PC with that.
As far as I don't know. It's hard to describe a country without offending someone, but I think it's good. I'm glad to hear that. I really am. I really want to see our pros go up against pros from around the world, because that, I think, is going to offer them a new challenge. because they're teams that they haven't played yet. They're teams they don't know. A lot of the pros here in the United States, they've played each other enough. They kind of know how each one of them plays. So this is going to be a nice new twist for it.
Not to mention, we're going to see some new faces that'll make names for themselves.
Mm-hmm. The thing I like about it, too, is competitive Halo has mostly been focused on the US and a little bit on Europe. But this is going to encompass Asia, which is not quite into the first-person shooter scene as some other genres of games, but it'll be interesting to see what kind of a team comes out of Asia. Australia and New Zealand, we know that first-person shooter titles are a thing there. It's very much like England in that regard, or Europe in that regard, as far as kind of the attention to games, or the interest in games. But we've never really had competitive teams come out of Australia to any kind of Halo competitive event, at least in the States, or an official Halo event. So it'll be nice to see teams come from there. And then Latin America would be interesting too. So we have basically two completely new regions, Asia and Latin America, coming into this. So that'll be interesting. It'll be pretty cool to see some new teams. And hopefully we'll get some interviews with that.
Hopefully.
That'd be cool. That'd be sick.
That'd be really cool.
I think it would give a really different perspective on competitive Halo 2, because these are two regions that we really don't hear much from.
You have to brush up on your Australian.
Well, figuring that they have very similar vocabulary to us, I think we'll be okay.
I don't know.
The slang stuff will be a little difficult.
Rest in peace, Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got a customer that is from Australia, and when he gets excited, he's almost unintelligible.
I'm not surprised.
I got a couple of buddies that are Australian that are unique to understand when they do get all hyper.
Oh, we actually had our first person, at least since I've been hosting game nights, from Australia try to join us. But unfortunately, Halo 5 is a royal pain in the butt when it comes to low ping, and we were unable to play with him. His gamer tag is escaping me at the moment.
Oh, I thought that might have been his gamer tag for a moment.
No. I'm trying to think what his name is, and I can't remember what it is.
One of the RUL staff members is actually Australian as well, and it was something that he posted on Reddit a little while ago, talking about how there was just issues trying to connect back to parties in the US because of the lag. And one of the things that he found as a workaround was start matchmaking, then have him join into your party that is searching.
Ah,
yep.
That makes sense.
Try that next time.
Well, we were having communication issues too through the party.
Party chat is game chat works when you're playing a game, and sometimes in the menus or in the fire team lobbies, but it works for sure in the game. Once. So whenever it's in game chat during a game, that's actually been pretty good for me so far. But whenever it comes to being in a party chat, I don't know if this is the Dash update or if this is just party conflicting with Halo 5 or what. But playing our company event last night in the party, it was very, very choppy.
I don't know if that's the dashboard or not, but it needs to really get worked on. Whenever I'm playing by myself and I'm matchmaking with people, the in-game chat works just fine. But whenever I have a group of people that I'm playing with, it just doesn't work. You always happen to go to a party, and in most cases it's pretty stable. But when I start connecting to people from opposite ends of the United States, then the connection gets really bad.
Yeah, something they really need to work on. Like it stabled out there for a little bit, and then it got crappy again.
Well, when they brought out the dedicated servers for party chat, and I do mean party chat, not in-game chat, it got a lot better there for a little while. I mean, parties were actually stable, wouldn't have any problems with people connecting, at least on a wide scale. But now we're back to like it was before they had the dedicated servers for the party chat.
It's something they'll probably continue to work out. I'm sure it's probably something with the Dash.
I haven't had any issues. Knock on wood.
You never have.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. I
But like
don't
I said,
know why.
it's only certain.
He lives right by Microsoft. I mean, go figure.
Yeah,
It's
they got
not
all the good stuff
favoritism.
out there.
It's not favoritism.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
sure.
Sure. So moving on to the next piece of news that we have. A little bit ago, 343 put up a poll for the first Double XP weekend playlist. We had options between 3 different things. First one being Shoddy Snipes, second one being Capture the Flag, and third one being Strongholds. And by a landslide, Shoddy Snipes won. So beginning tomorrow, there will be I think it was like weekly community playdate, or not playdate, playlist. I'm not sure how exactly it'll show up in matchmaking or in the arena list, but you will have the opportunity to play Shoddy Snipes and get double XP.
Yay.
Yes.
I'm happy. That's the one I was voting for too. I was hoping to get C brought in, so kind of looking forward to it.
That seems to be a Halo favorite.
Yeah. I actually played a custom games with Shoddy Snipes a couple days ago, and it was a blast. And we had a lot of fun with it.
Very nice.
I have a question.
Yes.
Now, the XP, that's going towards your rank in the playlist, right?
That goes towards your CSR.
For the playlist.
No,
That you're in.
No. That goes towards your Spartan rank. Sorry, not CSR.
Okay.
My bad. Yeah, Spartan rank, not CSR.
Yeah, I was going to say, I really hope it's not going towards the playlist rank because,
Well, the playlist is only there for 3 days.
well, I meant, it was more about a question about XP period because I have these, the boat boost cards that you can use
Mm-hmm.
for XP, and I've been kind of skittish about using them because I don't want to falsely go into another rank. I thought they only affected your Spartan rank, but I wasn't completely sure, and I just hadn't had time to research it.
Yeah, so the XP affects your Spartan rank, and your CSR is based on your performance and whether or not you win or lose the match. Primarily on whether or not you win or lose, but the XP that you gain in the match, that goes towards your Spartan rank
That's fair.
directly. So hopefully that answers that question.
Definitely.
As far as any other official news, there's not much coming out right now other than the increase of the Halo World Champion prize pool. Oh, did forget. The Stats API is actually available for public beta right now. So if you're a developer and want to try to make some kind of app using the stats from Halo 5, then definitely head on over to Halo Waypoint and check that out. They have a post over, if you go to halowaypoint.com/developers, that has a little bit of information on going and signing up under the developer portal so you can get access to the API, some documentation, support forums so you can go and discuss any bugs with the API, any feature requests, anything that's not working, all that kind of stuff. It's limited in ways where it's mostly just, for right now, game stats. It seems like there's quite a bit missing from stats that we've seen in the past, but as far as getting game stats and multiplayer sum ups, so like favorite weapon, most kills, KDA, KD, all that kind of stuff, that's there in your stats. There's a few things that I wanted to see in the stats API that I kind of wanted to toy around with and try making a few apps with. And unfortunately, there's just not those options right there. So hopefully this is something that 343 will expand over time and see if we can get some more support for that. And we just got a new subscriber on Twitch. Thank you, Matthew Jones 215, for subscribing. Major shout outs to you, major props. We don't have an emote yet, but we are working on one actually. We have a new art guy that we just brought on a few weeks ago, and he's working on a emote right now. So we'll have that up probably within the next 2 weeks or so. And everyone on Twitch that's going to be a subscriber will be able to use that emote. So we're working on a truck and frags emote, which is a spin-off of Keep on Fragging Trucks. So it's going to be a truck icon with a grenade, kind of like it's shipping grenades type of thing. So that's coming to our Twitch channel here hopefully soon. So exciting stuff.
Yay!
Last piece of news that we have to cover is a little bit more of stuff that we are doing. we have some stuff that we'll be giving away. If you guys saw the big swag bag video of stuff that 343 sent me in the big Muster brand knapsack, then you know that we have quite a bit of stuff to give away. And we're going to be doing that from people following us on Twitter, viewing our Facebook page, subscribing or liking or following us on Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. So there's going to be different ways to enter, and we're going to have several different contests for you to enter in. So we're going to be giving away a Halo 5 Guardians, Astro A40, and MM80 mix amp. And that actually comes with a supply supply rec pack. We're giving away a Halo 5 Master Chief controller. We're giving away some Mega Blocks, the Ghost and Mongoose, the Halo 5 Ghost and Mongoose. We're giving those away. We're going to be giving away a set of books. So we have Hunters in the Dark and Last Light that we'll be giving away. We have some posters to give away. So we have a lot of stuff that we're giving away. And right after this recording, so on Thursday when we're recording this, we're going to be posting the first few contests. And there's going to be requirements such as following us on Twitter, viewing our Facebook page, retweeting a tweet, following Halo on Twitter, going to our YouTube channel, subscribing, following us on Instagram, following us on Twitch, going to our homepage, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have that posted here very shortly after the show. So make sure you go check it out. We'll have a blog post about it and have a summary of all the different contests that we're doing to give away stuff. And you'll be able to enter into each one of those to win something really, really cool. So please check those out whenever they come up. Lots of cool prizes, I think, for some people. The A40s are really good. I've enjoyed them. And the Master Chief controller, just the detail in the Halo 5 controllers is amazing. So those are going to be some of the coveted items. I think we also have one more Halo 5 Guardians code to give away as well. So we'll be doing that. And lots of cool other things as well. Lots of things to give away.
We also have the lock controller too.
Oh, that's right. You have that. I forgot about that. Oh, yes. So we have the lock controller as well. Yay.
Yay.
Swag.
Yes. Lots of Halo swag. That'll be it for kind of the news portion of tonight. So we're going to dive into our first segment. We're going to be talking about some campaign missions. So we'll talk about missions 1 and 2. So to start off, mission 1, or I guess a little bit before mission 1, we are introduced to Dr. Catherine Elizabeth Halsey. And for the cutscene, I can't tell exactly when it is.
From what I can tell, it's just before, in the revised canon, Noble takes Cortana to the Pillar of Autumn.
That's what I'm thinking. The thing that threw me off is because she has a picture of Miranda, and that's from the cutscene in Halo 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's just an asset that they reused just because they had it, or if it is in a timeline somewhere and Halsey has a Cortana fragment in her possession.
No, that is the full Cortana there. This is in one of her research lab on Reach, from what I can tell.
That's what I got out of it too.
The pattern, the brain pattern that they show, the hologram, they do not indicate this in any way in the cutscene, but I assume that it is the map of Dr. Halsey's brain.
That's what I thought. That's what
I was thinking too.
I think that's towards the end of the creation of Cortana. That cutscene takes place.
That's what I was guessing as well. It's just the picture threw me off a little bit. It's like, okay, I thought this was when she basically created Cortana, but given that there's this picture, it kind of puts it out of place. But it seems like the chat kind of agrees with us that it's just asset reuse.
Mm-hmm. The fact that they make a point of showing her journal, which they did a really good job of reproducing in the game. It almost looked like a real copy.
Does it have the missing pages?
Of course it has the missing pages because it's the original.
Yeah, I know.
I want the missing pages. The fact that they point that out, they show the brain, they show Cortana going into the storage device. That all, to me, it indicates that it's pre-reach attack. Let's put it that way. Before the Covenant actually started to attack Reach.
Yeah, I would agree. So we have that cutscene, and then we jump to Fireteam Osiris and the big fancy opening that everyone is used to seeing by now because they released it a few weeks before the game, where we have the debrief from Captain Lasky on the Infinity. We have all of Fireteam Osiris in this Pelican. They get debriefed about the different anomalies that have been occurring on different colonies, and they jump out of the Pelican from their drop point and then just start to wreck face.
It also
With
has an
extreme
Avengers
prejudice.
vibe. To me, it had more of like an Avengers type vibe to it. Like the music alone kind of sounded like it.
Yeah, it was the
To me,
superhero
at
intro.
least.
So after you take control over, well, actually a little bit before you take control over Fireteam Osiris, you actually get to see a in-HUD animation of Locke taking out an elite, and then if you have co-op partners, they take out different enemies as well. And it's really cool to actually go in, if you're playing co-op, and see the different visors and see the different abilities. It doesn't seem to be as significant for Fireteam Osiris, but for Blue Team, if you go into co-op, the abilities definitely have a more noticeable impact in gameplay. So that was something that was cool to see. And it was something that they described early on too, where you have these different Spartans and they have different abilities. So it's really nice to see those play out in the final game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can see canon-wise why that is. Because the Spartan 2s were more
Overpowered.
diverse. Well, yeah. They were more diverse in their talents in training. Like, Kelly and Linda. Kelly, if she doesn't want to be touched, you're not going to touch her. Kelly, she's a sharpshooter. Now, I'm not saying that the Spartan 4s don't have specialties, but they're just not as exaggerated as they are in the Spartan 2s.
No offense in saying this, but I think anyone can be a Spartan 4. Just saying that. Like, not. I don't think it's, if you have some sort of training behind you, I think it's pretty more of a simple way than would be becoming a Spartan 2.
Yeah. Well, they've said that, they've hinted at that in the external fiction, that your genetics don't play as much of part in you being a Spartan as the earlier versions did, where they were trying to find the best of the best. So,
and it's just something that has been part of the mythos of Halo. Halo or Spartan 2s were specifically picked out for their genetic traits, and then Spartan 4s is a lot more wide open. There's a lot more tolerance to people actually going through the augmentations.
I have an observation.
Yes.
Anybody ever noticed that Locke, Tanaka, and Buck are all about the same height, and Vale is shorter than all the rest of them?
Yes. I did notice that. I thought I was the only one that picked that up. I'd never, like, I don't know. Shouldn't they all be the same height?
Part of the augmentation was to, I thought was to get them all to relatively the same height.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I didn't think it was supposed to be all the same height.
Well, I mean, pretty much the prerequisite for being a Spartan was to have the long stride.
But you look at some of the other Spartans, they could be short and they're still fast.
Well, no, it's like, with Buck, they literally stretched him.
I'm sure they stretched Vale too. And Erkibus says that Vale is younger. So that might be a part of it.
It could be. And I did also notice that she is also the more feminine.
Effeminate?
Feminine?
Well, she has a shape where, Tanaka is just like a tank, square.
It could be just
definitely has that female swagger going to her.
Yeah.
I mean, Tanaka has a little bit of it, but Vale is like, okay.
She's got it and she's flaunting it. Yep.
She knows. She knows she's got it going.
I can just see Goose coming in and rating this podcast right now.
I'm just
Sorry, Goose. I didn't mean it.
Honest. It's honest. She's got more defined female features.
Yep. A lot more slender, just a lot more form-fitting than Tanaka. Which, I mean, Vale is kind of like an insertion role anyway. It's kind of like an insertion scout role. So it kind of makes sense. You want a slim profile that doesn't stick out.
All I know is after watching her take out that Phantom, I don't want to mess with her.
I don't think you want to mess with the Spartan, period. So going back to the campaign stuff, do we want to talk about the intel and some of the other special stuff in here on the podcast?
I'll be honest, I personally haven't gone through all of them, so I wouldn't be much, but you guys feel free. You're not going to spoil anything for me, so feel free to discuss.
I've found them. I haven't really listened to them in detail.
Okay, we're going to have another show that will actually go through the pieces of intel in detail. I would do it with this show, but I am not as well prepared for that right now.
Yeah, I need a few more listens before I can.
I may pick that up on the next go around, depending on if we have time to push it into the next episode. So we might do that. But the first piece of intel is going to be right after you start, when you go just past the crashed Banshee, I guess, or Phantom. It's either one of the two, but just on the right, you'll find your first piece of intel. And you're actually on Kamchatka. You're going to find Dr. Halsey. She's given a signal to Lasky on the Infinity that she needs to pick up because she's discovered something. And you're fighting through. You're going to be encountering Prometheans and Covenant. Definitely take use of the upper pathways and the flanking positions on this map, especially if you're running Legendary. I found that for Heroic, I didn't have much of a problem. I could kind of jump down to the ground level and up to some of the higher vantage points to take out enemies. And I will say this just from the get-go. Even though the AIs are dumb as hell on Legendary, use your Spartan commands.
Definitely.
Use them to take out the bigger enemies. So clean up, I would say, a tactic I use is I clean up the smaller enemies. I have them focus on the bigger enemies. And then by the time I take out a lot of the smaller ones, I can help clean up the big guys.
They make great distraction tools.
That too.
Because if a soldier...
Well, I don't know. Depends on the situation, because I've had a lot of times where I send them out, and depending if where I am or how I'm hiding, enemies will still just focus on me and take me out.
Yeah, it's highly situational. But I found that, especially soldiers with light rifles, 2 shots, you're dead. 2.5, yep. Something like that. It depends on where they hit you. But crawlers,
Crawlers are all 1-shots to the heads.
No, I meant as far as damage. The crawlers will tear you a new one quickly. You don't take them for granted. Don't let them gang up on you.
Yeah. Take them out quickly. They're just like grunts. Pop them in the head. They're done.
Actually, I have more. I think they're more dangerous than the grunts. Because that...
right, but I mean, as far as enemy class goes...
Yeah, enemy class,
the Covenant side of things, too. Yeah.
But that suppressor, right?
They have either a suppressor or a bolt shot.
Yeah, the suppressor...
depending on which class.
...is a very useful weapon. Do not overlook it.
I would say whenever you run out of BR ammo, because you will run out of BR ammo, there's very little, if not any, UNSC resupply crates. So pick up the suppressor. It is kind of the new plasma pistol, the new Halo 1 plasma pistol for Halo 5. Definitely pick that up whenever you get a chance. Whenever you're dropping your BR, pick up a suppressor and keep your Magnum for getting headshots. That's the strategy that I use.
I use the bolt shot, to be honest with you.
The bolt shot's
the bolt
pretty
shot
effective.
extremely useful.
I find that the suppressor is a lot more effective at taking out the soldiers. If you can get the right angle on them, where you can actually open up, a suppressor will tear through a soldier pretty quickly. It'll tear the armor off of them very quickly, and then you can go in for the headshot with your Magnum or BR.
I have to admit, 343 did a fantastic job with the weapons in Halo 5. They really overhauled the Promethean weapons, and they feel like good weapons to use, actually.
The light rifle is amazing. I love the light rifle right now.
All of them are amazing.
I don't like the binary rifle as much as I used to.
No. That's the other weapon I didn't really care.
Yeah, the binary rifle, it works more like the Spartan laser than it does a sniper rifle. It has it just takes a long shot. So you have to stay, it's powerful, but you have to stay exposed for a lot longer than you do a regular sniper rifle.
I think it's like a half a second shot.
Yeah, you pull the trigger and you have to hold the reticle on your target for a good half second before the shot is finished.
That seems something that they balanced out for it. And I'm personally not. I think it's a all right change.
Yeah.
Especially considering it possibly being in Warzone. That's something that they probably balanced as well.
Like I said, I'm just not a fan of it. I mean, I understand why they did it because it is a very powerful weapon. And I haven't seen it in multiplayer yet, but it does still seem to be like it's a one-shot kill. You just hit them wherever and you kill them. Granted, it's hard to judge that in the campaign, but because your enemies are stronger on Legendary than they are in multiplayer.
It is a very significant difference between Heroic and Legendary. I think it's probably one of the most drastic differences. Granted, I haven't gone and played Halo 1, 2, or 3, or 4 side by side, Heroic to Legendary, but for some reason, Halo 5 just seems like when you go from Heroic to Legendary, it's just that much bigger of a difficulty gap. And I'm not sure if that's primarily because it is concentrated on being a co-op game, or if that gap is more significant just out of the box.
I would say it's a bigger jump because
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
You know, the Halo 2 campaign is probably overall still the most brutal on Legendary, but Halo 5's really close to it. Right now I'm fighting my first Warden. It's not going so well. But anyway.
You think that's bad?
Yeah, I know it gets worse. But the difficulty is definitely a bigger jump than it was in Halo 4. Because Halo 4 Legendary was, you know, it was harder, but it wasn't to the point where, you know, controller breaking hard. Where Halo 5, it's testing my patience.
Yeah, in my run, I had a lot of those moments where I questioned if I should just stop playing for the night.
It gets frustrating, no doubt.
Oh, I have. I'll stop playing campaign and go play multiplayer.
Dang.
Yep. And sometimes that doesn't work.
It took me an hour and a half to go through mission 5, which I forget what the name is, Uncovered, I think. And then for mission 6, it took me 2 hours to beat it on Legendary solo.
You mean unconfirmed?
Unconfirmed, yes. Unconfirmed mission 5, and then evacuation mission 6. It took me 2 hours.
Oh, you mean you didn't get the achievement where you finished it in 18 minutes?
I'm going to need to do that in co-op. Wait, that's Heroic too, right? It's not just Legendary.
Yeah, you have to do it on
Heroic.
Heroic.
Legendary. Yeah, Heroic or higher. Yeah, I could probably do it on Heroic. But when you got to the space elevator loading bay, like just before that area, before they opened the doors, that part just took me forever.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was the soldier up on the missile turret. And then all my AI buddies, I would command them to come back into one of the buildings, and then Buck just randomly walks outside and gets killed, and then gets the rest of them killed because they go try to revive him.
Yeah, they're not exactly brilliant.
No.
I mean, the AI in Halo 5, sorry 343, but on Legendary, they are dumb as doornails.
I don't think I'd give them that much credit.
Dumb as a rock?
I don't know. Rocks are pretty bright. But I'm going through the same thing. I try to get them to hold back and go long range, and have them pick up long range weapons. And the trick is getting them to use the stupid things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they'll go up close to an enemy instead of shooting them at range.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like I just finished up Unconfirmed, and I had Buck had a rocket launcher and Tanaka had a rocket launcher. Buck was... What's Buck's other weapon?
Shoddy?
Shotgun?
Yeah. He's using his shotgun, trying to get up close and personal with him, and Tanaka's using her pistol.
I make them swap their weapons so freaking quick on Legendary. I'm like, don't be using the piddly plasma pistols and magnums that you guys just default use. It's... the AI just is bad.
How do you get them to switch weapons? Do you just point at them?
No, they just... You mean pick up weapons or switch weapons?
switch weapons. I know getting them to pick them up.
They just randomly do it. I don't know if there's no way you can tell them to switch. I think they just, depending on the battle situation, they try to switch. I would assume that if you were going up against someone that was like a mounted turret or some other enemy vehicle, that they would probably pull out the heavy weapons to try to do that, but I haven't really paid that close attention, and most of the time they die anyways.
Yeah, because like I said, I'm fighting a warden, and I have him target the warden, and Buck's got a rocket launcher, but he won't use the stupid thing.
I want to smack the crap out of him.
It's bad. Sorry, but it's cool that you have the AI in there, but it's bad.
Take that, all you
I know I can't...
Team Buck followers.
Well,
I bought the shirt.
Don't get me wrong.
I'll admit I bought the shirt.
And Kelly are just as stupid.
Everyone's just as stupid. Any AI is just as stupid.
I did admit, after playing one of the other levels, I got a warthog. And after playing Ring Around the Warthog for 10 minutes, trying to get everybody in place, because I had Vale with a Spartan laser, and I had Tanaka in turret, and like I said, playing Ring Around the Rosie, it's to get them in the right places because they never want to go where you want them. That is the only time I've actually got them to do what I wanted them to do and use the weapons that I want them to use.
It's
exactly
a crapshoot at this point, I think, personally. So we need to wrap up this segment real quick. After you beat the first wave of enemies, you'll actually encounter your first legendary weapon. So different maps, different campaign missions have different legendary weapons. They're the same ones that you get in rec packs and Warzone. So the first one that you get is Open Hand, which is a bolt shot. Wow, it took me a while to think that one up. A modified bolt shot, and each shot actually fires 2 shots, which is pretty cool. That's just before you get to the part where you see the soldiers warp through the ice wall. So you run on up, and there's not much story in this first mission, which is kind of why we're going through it super fast. This is definitely a tutorial mission, similar just to how every other Halo starts, with a tutorial mission. You get introduced to the enemies, you get introduced to weapons, all that fun stuff. Once you go past the ice wall, you'll encounter a place where you can get your second piece of intel. You'll see the soldiers on the other side of the ice wall, take them out, then drop down to a little place on the left. You'll find your second piece of intel. Going into the next big section, this is kind of your first big battle. So the first one was pretty small compared to this one. You have basically 2-3 different big sections. If you hang along the wall to the right, you have a more elevated viewpoint on taking out enemies, and then you can command the rest of your fire team to either come up with you, or there's some other elevated areas on the left that they can take advantage of and take out some of the bigger enemies as well. This is definitely a place, I think, where a suppressor and bolt shot would come in handy, because with all the soldiers kind of warping around and doing their jump thing, you'll have a little bit easier time tracking them, because the suppressor and the bolt shot actually track enemies, which is some really cool features of those weapons. Light rifle is good too. If you hang the far right, eventually you'll get to a part where you're overlooking the next section in the Forerunner door, and the third piece of intel is close by to there as well. And far off to the left, before you enter the door, you'll find your first skull. And there are 13 skulls in Halo. 13 skulls, right? Yeah. In Halo 5 Guardians. So you go pick that one up, and it is the I Would Have Been Your Daddy skull. This is the one that adds the strange, uncommon dialogue. So you can go pick that one up. That's a nice first one to get. It's pretty easy to find. I found that one on my own pretty easily. There were, I think, 2 or 3 skulls that I found on my own before the game came out. And then, obviously, from seeing other people find skulls and the other guides out there, you can find the rest of the skulls pretty easy. Once you get past the Forerunner structure or the Forerunner door, you'll hop up on top of a floating platform, and that's where you actually activate the door, or you can use the Artemis to figure out where it is. Oh, also another thing, as you're going through campaign, I know I mentioned this in the video that we posted on YouTube, but any Osiris mission, if you hit down on the D-pad, that activates your Artemis, which also gives you a waypoint to where you're supposed to be going, but it also points out weapon crates, and it gives a ping whenever you're by a piece of intel. So it gives an audio ping, a visual ping, which is a big blue orb if you're in direct sight with it, And then also your controller vibrates too. So that will also help you find some pieces of intel if you're going off and finding those. Once you get past the second forward door, you'll head out into kind of an ice cavern. If you go straight out, not all the way out to where you fall and die, but you'll find another legendary weapon, the loathsome thing. I am having a hard time speaking tonight. Sorry, folks. And that is a modified scatter shot. I believe, if I remember right, it has a more concentrated burst, and the projectiles move a little bit quicker with increased damage. And it has a much larger magazine size as well. I think it's from the standard 5 of a scatter shot, it's 10, something like that. And then also in the ice cavern, before you make it out to the next battle area, there is another piece of intel that you can find in there as well. The next section is kind of the big Kraken battle that's going on outside. You have the Prometheans fighting the Covenant. You have a lot of splinter turrets out there, so I would definitely recommend hanging to the right where it's nice and elevated, and have the rest of your team take out the bigger bosses. So the Promethean soldiers, the elites, and then you can just take out all the grunt jackals and crawlers. You'll make your way up to another forward door.
Or if you want to go for an achievement, the elite general in this area, if you help him take the hill, you'll get an achievement before you kill him.
Oh, I'd forgotten about this one.
Yeah, as you come in, you'll want to take the high ground. Just to your left, you'll see elite and 2 jackals, and they are fighting the Prometheans. You'll want to try to help them as much as possible. Pay very close attention to the elite. Anything that is shooting the elite, you want to kill as quickly as possible, because you need to keep the elite alive to get the achievement. But as soon as you've made it to the top of the hill and cleared out the Prometheans, the achievement should pop. And about halfway up the hill, the Covenant usually quit trying to shoot you.
Okay.
After it's like it takes the AI some time to figure out that, oh, wait a minute, they're not trying to kill us, they're trying to help us. So,
oh, nice. All right. I haven't tried to go for that achievement, so thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, I tried and failed miserably.
Practice it more, I'm sure you'll get it.
Well, you only have to be on heroic to do it. I was trying it on legendary, so.
Oh, yeah, that could be a problem.
On legendary, on legendary, I wouldn't try to do it unless you're in co-op.
I would say do all the achievements on the lowest difficulty that you need to get the achievement done. Unless this is like a run that you're doing for the first time and then you're trying to get everything done, like us, we'll be doing Achieving Halo, then you might want to actually do all the achievements or try to get all the achievements on legendary, which is kind of hard, but not impossible.
So far, this is the only one that I found that cannot be done on legendary, or that is difficult to do on legendary.
Oh no, evacuation. Getting that in 18 minutes, that's going to be a challenge.
Like,
not impossible.
I haven't gotten to evacuation on legendary yet, so.
I think with co-op, it'll probably be better.
Yeah, I went through and did it on heroic, and on heroic, it was pretty easy. The tip there is just make sure you take the warthog with you.
Gotcha. So another little path that you can take too before you get up to the top ridge is there's some caves on the left, and you can actually run by a lot of enemies too and flank the Prometheans. So that might be another thing that you can use for helping the Covenant take the hill. And that puts you right behind the floating foreigner platform where there's a soldier with a splinter turret. So you can flank that position and take out some of the enemies up there while you can order the rest of your Spartan team to kind of clean up on the other side. So that's helpful to know if you want to take that route. When you get up to the next section, that's going to be where you'll find another little forerunner area. You'll find another piece of intel here as well. If you go to the far right behind the splinter turret, you'll find your 5th piece of intel over there. And again, you're just fighting more Promethean soldiers with splinter turrets. Definitely keep an eye out for those. And then you also have the soldiers on the ground level with light rifles and suppressors, I believe, as well. But those splinter turrets will do some nasty damage. So be very careful of those.
If you can pick one up, they will tear through soldiers. But
if you actually go
tear through you pretty quick too.
If you pick up the splinter turret from the first soldier, the one that's on the levitating foreigner platform before you take the second area, use that on, I think it's even on Legendary. If you get a direct shot on the crawler, it takes it out. And then it's like 3 or 4 shots on the soldier, it'll take it out.
Even on Legendary, if you get just close to a crawler, you hit the ground right next to it, it will still kill the crawler. You don't have to hit it directly.
Okay. So the final section, after you get through the door, you have a little waiting area. There's some dialogue that goes on. You'll find your 6th piece of intel just sticking right out there. And you wait for a door to come open, and this is where you meet the new Promethean Knights, which are a lot bigger and better than they were in Halo 4.
I love how they even commented, these are the new knights.
Yeah, like you needed to point that out. I will have to admit, these knights, they're definitely a more challenging fight than the ones in Halo 4. It pays to use precision weapons on these knights, where
Yes, it does.
in Halo 4, it was more brute force to kill them.
And in Halo 4, you could also assassinate knights, where in Halo 5, you cannot.
Not until you take their armor off.
I've tried assassinating them after you take their armor off, and I haven't been able to get it to trigger.
Oh, really?
No. Have you done it?
No, I haven't been brave enough.
Oh, see, I've tried it on easy because I've been making the intel guides, and I've tried to go up behind them after I take out the 2 side pieces, and it has the back exposed, and you can't assassinate. At least I haven't been able to.
You just go through a beatdown motion?
Yep. Just smack the heck out of them. And even just meleeing them doesn't really do much damage.
I still say they need to let us assassinate hunters.
I would say if they're down to a certain point, they should. I think it's definitely... It would
I mean,
definitely
you
be a
have to get
cool
their back
animation.
Yeah, their back plate off.
Right.
But I can just see a Spartan climbing up the back of a hunter and jabbing a knife in the neck or something.
Oh yeah, easily. That'd be so much fun. Alas, we don't get it. Just have to shoot them to death or sword them to death. That also works pretty well too whenever their back is exposed.
Mm-hmm.
And after you clear out this last room, that's the mission. That's probably one of the quickest missions. If you're speedrunning this on Halo 5, you could get through it pretty quickly. The Foreigner doors make it to where you actually have to clear out certain areas before you can advance. But other than that, it's a pretty easy level to run through. Very tutorial-like.
Yep.
In many different aspects.
It's no Cairo station.
It is not.
Oh my gosh.
It is not.
Yeah, no, that's
of
not
all the
Cairo.
different comparisons for Halo 5 being 343's Halo 2, I'm happy that it was not the fact that the first mission was the hardest mission
in the whole game. Yeah.
Thank you, 343, for not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain trends we are glad you're not following.
Exactly. That is one of them. Talk about a steep learning curve.
Yeah.
So at the very end, after you clear out the last room, where you have all the knights and everything, go to the right, you'll find your last piece of intel, and then when you get to the door, it transitions to a cutscene. We see Jul Dama and Halsey talking about something. Halsey's talking about being able to access something we're not exactly sure, and Jul is frustrated at her because she's not fulfilling what she says she's able to do. And it's enough time to where Buck can line up a shot on one of the elite guards. And so this happened a few times in a few different cutscenes. Why are there no shields in the cutscenes?
The one that Veil shot had shields.
The one that Veil shot has shields. The one that Buck originally shot has shields. But when Locke went to hand with Jewel,
He didn't have shields
there were
at
no
all.
shields.
Yeah.
Maybe they were caught off guard and didn't have their shields activated, and by the time I really don't know.
And the same thing happens in, we're jumping ahead obviously, but hopefully everyone knows by now the first encounter with Locke and Chief where they have their hand-to-hand combat moment. No shields there either.
That's not even what I found the most frustrating about that cutscene.
Well, there are lots of frustrating things which we'll get to whenever we get to that mission, but
No, I'm talking about this mission.
oh,
Like,
what else?
This cutscene. Why did they spend all this time building up Jewel? Just to drop
die.
him. Drop him that
Yeah.
quick. I mean, like, you spent the entire Escalation comics building this guy up, and then poof. Just like that, he gets dropped. And he didn't even get dropped in a way that was, like, made Locke
Heroic
look
or
like
anything.
a badass. You know, it it was just like, you're dead.
It did feel like a cop out.
Yeah,
It really did.
Like, I had no problem with Jewel. I had no problem with him being a villain in the series. I mean, between him and Didact, that's what we're two of the biggest villains from Halo 4. They're gone already. It just,
And not to mention, like,
it's a really interesting strategy.
If you listen to some of the fire team chatter, though, when you're going through the mission, specifically the part where they're in the room before the last room with the Prometheans, Locke says that Jewel isn't a leader, he was an opportunist. So there is some dialogue that goes on in the campaign which sets it up to where he doesn't have quite as big a role anymore, but it is kind of a good point where they did build him up so much in escalation. And I guess it's not out of the realm of impossibility to where, yeah, he lost control of his troops and his forces over time. I mean, that's not surprising.
No.
Given his characteristics. But it did seem, to do that in the first mission, it did seem like, really? We're doing this now?
Yep. It just...
I mean, if we would have sit there and done it like in a way that made Locke the superior force than what Jewel and Dama was, that would have been all right, but he didn't do anything that was so, like, badass, so to speak. Like, he just sit there and knifed him a couple of times and then stabbed him in the neck and it's game over. That's done. Like, do something that a little bit, like, veils, like, whole scene when she, like, flips over the elite and then shoots him and all that other stuff. Like, that was a hell of a lot better than what Locke did with Jewel. Like, I just don't, I don't get it. Like, it was aggravating throughout that turn. I mean, I get the point that, you know, they went in to get Halsey back, which was nice. You know, we got to see Halsey and all that stuff. Which brings up another point. How is it that Halsey was with Jewel this entire time and she makes one phone call and they come in to get her? Like, I didn't understand that either. I mean, maybe there's some backstory to it, but I didn't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Mending just said, he just looked like a regular elite, and then Penn's, you know, he was first brought in Kilo 5. I will admit, I have not read the Kilo 5 yet, but it just, that was disappointing, to say the least.
There's no villain this time around that I'm feeling is connectable with anyway. I mean, the Didac was getting there in 4, and then he kind of vanished. And Halo 5, there wasn't really... There is one person that's like a villain type going into it, but it's not exactly what you expect.
Yep.
I think it's a lot more conceptual in Halo 5 than it is evident.
Yeah, I mean...
Which I think for people that are just playing the campaign from game to game, not reading the fiction, because this is something that has also kind of been starting to crop up too, where the story for Halo 5 still isn't that great. It's better than 4.
Oh, without
It's
a doubt.
lot better than
like,
4.
You know what's funny? I don't know if you guys do much reading on IGN or whatever. A lot of them love Halo 4's campaign compared to this one.
See, now, I've seen a lot of hypocritical comments, so to speak, because I remember those exact same comments when Halo 3 was out, and they said Halo 3's campaign was better than 4's, and so vice versa. So it's like every other game before then is always better
Arguably,
than
Halo 3's campaign is better than Halo 4.
Well, right. But why is it that every time someone sits there and says, oh, the Halo 4 campaign's better, they go back and say Halo 5 was crap? Now, like, say, for instance, Halo 6 comes out, I notice the same pattern with people saying that the game's campaign was better than the last. Or the last one was better than the one that just came out. It always seems that way. I mean...
Well, I would be more readily agreeing with you if that happened for other franchises. I don't know if you've looked at those too, but...
No, not really.
I think you can just base that off of Halo.
Well,
Yeah,
Halo 5's campaign, I found, and I kind of hesitate to say it this way because this is the way everybody's saying it, hollow. It
is.
Yep.
It is.
But also, I realized that being a person that reads the books and the comics and, you know, listens to all this or engages in all this external fiction, a game story is going to feel hollow.
Here's
another
going
thing.
on now. Like
Yeah,
there
there
is.
is.
There's a lot going on in this story. I mean, there's
But to that point, though, didn't they say at some point that there was going to be something that came with Halo 5 that would explain the external fiction and how it relates to Halo 5 and how it plugs into everything that's going to be talked about in Halo 5 and brought up in the campaign to fill people in?
I thought
Where
so,
is that?
But I need to find that because it sounds right, but I want to see it. So
I think they said that during the panel at SDCC.
Yeah, I was really hoping for, and don't get me wrong, the opening cutscene is great, but I was looking for more filler story in there.
The opening cutscene was like the beginning of Age of Ultron. It was awesome to watch, but it doesn't
do anything for the story.
Yeah. Well, the thing I was hoping to see this time is how Chief found Blue Team, or give a little bit of a backstory as how Chief and Blue.
You kind of need to read the comics,
right, but for someone that's going from campaign to campaign that isn't reading the fiction, that's a gap. Like even people that don't read see that they're like, how did they come in the picture? Oh, they're just here all of a sudden. Great. Well, how did they get here? We know that Chief and them been with each other with the Fall of Reach deal that they got going on, but people that don't read, they have no clue.
This is where a Spartan Ops Season 3 would have been something.
Season 2, you mean?
Or Season 2 could have done. It could have filled you in for this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying they release it, if they had released it earlier this year. I know they had their plates full with Halo 5, and they did an awesome job on Halo 5. I'm not doubting that. The game overall, it is a great game. It is a better game than Halo 4. It is more fun to play than Halo 4 was or is. But they really need to concentrate on the story between the games if they're going to have this much activity between the games.
Well, no, they don't only need that. They need a little bit more of a filler than what we're getting with the main story itself. Like, if we're going to sit there and have all this stuff going on, give a little bit more than what we're getting so far. Like
I said, for the players that just play the games, there needs to be something there to bridge that
doesn't leave them high and dry.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
As a person that reads the external lore, most of the stuff I knew about and I understood. They did a pretty decent job with all the trailers, except for the game they advertised is not really the game they delivered, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They advertised this epic battle between Master Chief and Locke. We don't really get that.
We got one scene.
We get one fight scene where Master Chief kicks his ass, in my opinion. I especially like in spoiler, this is kind of spoiler territory. Hopefully you guys have all watched it, but the body language of Chief when Locke breaks his visor, it's like, oh no, you didn't. And he just goes off on him. I just thought the way they played that fight scene out was awesome. Anyway, enough on that. But as far as the story, the way they marketed it, it was this big epic Spartan versus Spartan battle.
And it wasn't the thing that aggravated me the most is like the live action trailers that we got during, what was it? The Walking Dead season finale.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember that correctly. Those were like, okay, this is insane. Like the story is going to be really, really thrilling. And like Chief may have a problem on his hands. That's not the case. Like, yeah, sure, there's going to be a little bit misleading stuff to get the hype going. That's great. I'm happy for that. But we didn't get anywhere near as much thriller in the game, in my personal opinion, as what they did advertise. Like, I thought there was going to be a little bit more than what we got. Like, at least have that moment of, oh, that's where everything kind of comes to. That kind of really didn't. It was in there, but it was very minuscule. Like, there was not too much going on.
That part of the story really disappoints me because I was really looking forward to that. I was looking forward to the going back and forth between seeing the 2 points of the story. Now, the story they delivered is a decent story. It has some gaps in it that if you don't read the external fiction, it's not going to fiction. It's not going to make sense the first time you run through it. It's really, for me, it's kind of hard to put in words, but I was really hoping to play, equal time between the two characters.
I was expecting that, and it just didn't happen.
Halfway through the game, they're already kind of fighting on the same side.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That was something that a buddy did bring up. He goes, they were advertised because he watches TV. He doesn't, do anything on the internet or anything. But he goes, what happened between Chief and Locke? He goes, he played the game. He goes, the story was great. He goes, it beats Ford's story by miles. But he goes, they were on the same side within like the middle of the story. And there was really there was nothing to really go against that. Like they hated each other. They didn't even hate each other. They were just like in disagreements for a split portion of the campaign. And all of a sudden it's like, yeah, no, we're fighting the same enemy at this point. It's like,
yeah, it's, I never really thought of it as Locke hates Chief or Chief hates Locke. They're on their missions. It's not a personal vendetta.
Right. They're just following their orders.
Locke is just doing his job, and Chief is trying to save the galaxy. Which is what he always does. But I was really expecting this battle to rage mostly through the game and maybe only have Locke come to Chief's side in the last mission or two.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just the last mission, where Locke finally catches up with Chief.
Well, that's a few episodes away. So we'll get to that at some other point. I do want to move on to some multiplayer stuff. We are going to save Blue Team for next time since we talked a lot about campaign stuff already. And I want to discuss a little bit about Warzone because that's what we've been playing for our Spartan Company events. So, first of all, how do you guys like Warzone? Not Warzone Assault, just Warzone.
It's a lot of fun. I'm having a really good time with it. I love the fact that I can bring in a lot more people and play and have a good time with than say versus like Arena. That's the biggest problem I have with Arena right now because I have a lot of people I want to play with, but I can't play with them because of that reason. But I love the fact that there's objectives that you have to do. Like, they're not just normal objectives. Like, your main focus is to get the bases and all these different things like that. And then you have these enemies or these bosses or anything like whatever you want to call them come in and, that helps you with your score. They did a really, really good job with Warzone. I'm really, really impressed with it. It's a lot of fun. The only thing that I kind of wish they would do is have a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Variety, bosses.
Come to me, it's like, yeah, like a little bit more variety, I guess you can say. Like, it's almost the same almost the same thing over and over and over again. Speak.
Well, it is the same thing over and over again.
Well, right, but at least have not necessarily different objectives, but have them a little bit different than the same one that you just played. Like, it's almost the same exact thing. That's the only problem I have with it. Granted, it's petty compared to, but
I think I know what you're getting at. And I would agree with you because it is something where you can predict when AI bosses are coming in. And that kind of gives an unfair advantage, I think. Granted, it is similar to knowing when power weapon spawns for Arena. But I think if AI bosses were a lot more random on when they actually spawn, it would make for a lot more interesting gameplay in Warzone.
I think just a simple change to random spawn points. Not necessarily random enemies, but just random locations for them to spawn.
So there's only a certain way you can do that for certain enemies. I would say for Warzone, because you are trying to offer a balance where people can get the AI bosses no matter how many bases that are controlled. Like, you have either the 2 armories or you have the big one, that kind of stuff. If you have all 3 bases, you're obviously dominating the other team. And at which point, it's kind of defending your core is top priority. So if you have it as a random spawn, you have to be very careful on where those random spawns could possibly be done.
Not necessarily the locations, but the order in which the available AI spawn at. Like, there are
that just needs to be randomized.
There are certain spots where the AI will spawn, but there is different. I guess probably the best way to describe this is you get different AI enemies in that spawn. Like on Apex, the hunters are going to spawn where they spawn.
Right. And one of the things I was saying is that that needs to be randomized for like when it happens, what kind of enemies. And for the hunters, it makes sense because you have them on both teams, both sides. I think that it's something they could definitely look at changing up for Warzone. I hope that's something maybe scenario based wise they can go in and change. I think random timers on the AI bosses will definitely help in terms of kind of a balance and map control, because you could be under, or you could be like completely on top, and then if you're just dominating the timers for all the AI bosses because you know when each one spawns, because every single AI boss is set on a timer on when it will spawn into a match, then it doesn't really give the other team a chance to maybe get the jump on an AI boss and help come back a little bit. If there's that much power in those AI bosses, then that shouldn't be something that should be easily predictable. It should be a little bit more random.
I'd be fine with a random order and random time, except for like when the warden drops down, Like, I think the warden should be the final boss at, say, the 10, 12-minute mark. But then the rest of them, and the warden should always be at a central location between both teams. But I think the rest of them should be random time, random area for when they're dropping.
Maybe the smaller bosses.
Yeah,
but the bigger ones, the 150-point ones?
Any of them.
Yeah, the 150-point ones, those I can understand being a set spawn.
Yeah, those
because
have to be
those are the
central.
ones that you really want to set up for. Now on those, it's a hard balancing act, especially on the kill, because I've noticed that there's strategies that are pretty prevalent out there that they will, one team will let the other team do a lot of damage to the warden and then come in and snipe him with a rocket launcher or Spartan laser or something like that and still steal the kill.
Yep.
That's
something you have to be aware of, though.
It is something you have to be aware of, but I think
they should bonus the team that gives the most damage.
Yeah, I think
like give them something. It's all about the kill shot. Then I don't even want to shoot these things.
But that's the whole point of map control.
Yeah, you got to have map control. I'm perfectly on board with that, but
well, see, that's just it. You don't have to have map control to do that.
Yeah,
because you can long range shot the boss.
Yep.
You can kill the boss from across the map and get points, where the other team's been has gotten control of the bases and is hammering on this boss, and you from the other side of the map hit him with a Spartan laser, and all of a sudden you get the points. So that lends nothing to map control. The point system on those big 150 point bosses, well, it probably could equate to all of the bosses, but the point values on the big 150 point bosses should be based on the amount of damage you do to the boss. If you do the most damage and you kill the boss, you get the full 150 points. If the other team does 90% of the damage and you get the last kill shot, you get 50 points.
I don't know if that would really break the game type or not, because that just holds it to just slower gameplay. And at that point, it's not really, it doesn't really add the thrill factor, I guess, of actually taking out the boss.
Well, yeah.
And if you're
away from the team that's
if you have a team that's pounding on an AI boss and the enemy team takes it out, it's likely that enemy team is not up, and that's a balancing, or that's kind of like a lifesaver card of getting it in there.
Just in my opinion, there are a lot of balance issues in Warzone. The matchmaking is, it's supposed to match people up with similar cards. I have yet to see that, even when I go in and play by myself.
I think a lot of those systems aren't in place yet in matchmaking overall. I think they really just wanted to get fast matchmaking, show that matchmaking works. That had to be a big goal after what we got with MCC. So I'm perfectly cool with, right now a lot of those systems not getting in place and then slowly rolling those out because we do need them. I'm not saying we don't need them and it wouldn't be nice, but I think first and foremost, working matchmaking and a fast matchmaking.
Yeah. It just, right now, I don't find Warzone very enjoyable. It just, I've won 2 games, but I've played like 12. And those other games, it's just, our team was being pounded. There's heavy vehicles that are popping up, in my opinion, way too fast.
Well, 2 nights ago, I was playing Warzone with Twisted, and while we were playing, literally this other team, we had all 3 bases, and the other team was rolling tank after tank after tank out at us. We still beat them, and we still destroyed their system, but they had something like probably 10 to 12 tanks by the end of that game. It was insane.
Holy. Yeah, that's a
Was this during last night?
much.
2 nights. No, I didn't
No.
get in. I don't get in on Wednesday nights, unfortunately. But
We had something similar happen last night.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh, these people have been saving their tanks, and I don't know how they keep getting their tanks because your rec points should, your rec level should go down after you summon a tank, like considerably. I don't know. I thought it was insane.
I mean, if you get all 12 players up to the required rec level, you can have them spawn in, tank after tank after tank if they're staggered. But what I'm looking at is the heavy vehicles just seem to be coming into the match way too early.
Dude, I also noticed that the bigger weapons coming way too fast. Like, just ridiculous amounts, too. I don't know if that's something that I noticed, but...
Well, the power weapons have a much lower rec cost than the tanks, the heavy vehicles, which is fine. I have no problem with that. But it's like I played a game and the other team was at 250 points and they're already rolling out wraiths.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with all these things coming out, but really make it hard to get, their second and third one. It just, I don't know. I don't want to say rec cards are pay to win because I don't think they are, but it almost feels like it's pay to win when you see tank after tank.
Well, to a point they are.
Yeah.
Because
I know. That's what I'm saying.
We stated it right at the beginning of the podcast. They have added $500,000 to the prize pool. There are a lot of people out there shelling out a lot of cash for rec cards, and it's apparent in the game because especially when you start picking up certifications, that means you pick up a tank certification. That means you're going to get more tanks.
Yeah.
See, right now the only heavy vehicle I have is a Mantis, and it requires a rec level 8.
I have 2 different Wraiths and 2 different Scorpions, and no Mantis.
Yeah, I have. Granted, I've had very limited amount of rec that I've opened, but I've gotten 2 Wraiths, a tank, and this Mantis, and I haven't been able to call in the Mantis because I haven't been able to get up to rec level 8.
Mantises are powerhouses, though.
Yeah,
they will
they are.
tear through anything. This is going to be a balancing issue for Warzone. It's going to be there. Just kind of the nature of the game. It's not something that can be easily balanced. And I don't think it's going to be ever to a point where everyone's going to be happy about it.
No, and I think, we're a week and a half into this game. We're starting to notice a lot of these tweaks that, we want, which is fine. But I overall, I enjoy Warzone. I mean, it's not my favorite. I'm going to play Arena over Warzone. I will admit that all the way. But, Warzone is where I go when it's going to be my last game or 2 of the night. And I just kind of want to rock some peoples and, 4-shot people and 5-shot them with my pistol and then call it a good night and go out on a high note. That's kind of what Warzone is for me. And I haven't found anything in Halo 5 that isn't fun to play. And that's the most important thing to me so far.
The funny thing is that I've actually been having more fun in Arena In the past, I've always been a social player. Whenever there was a social playlist, that's what I went into because I just wanted to play to have fun. In Warzone, currently, is not fun to me, at least not all the time. Where Arena, you get a frustrating game, but it's just because the other team has a higher skill than you, not that they have better luck than you. And that's kind of the nature of the RNG system. Some players are going to have good luck, some players aren't. And that's where the rec packs are. And it's just right now, Warzone is not fun for me because I'm not getting the cards that I need to be competitive.
Yeah.
In that game, in that match. So,
real quick, what has been your guys' strategy on the rec cards? Like in purchasing? Like, do you go straight for gold, silver, bronze?
Silver seems to be more effective for me, for what I'm wanting at least.
See, I've been buying bronze.
Really?
So bronze will get you the weapon mods and sometimes emblem, and if you're lucky, some of the other ones. But the majority of the time, I find that the bronze ones are a lot more the common things.
Well, that's what I'm trying to knock out a lot of the weapon commendations.
Right, yeah.
And that's why I've been doing bronze, because I want my silver and gold to be worth my silver and gold. I want more of that rare stuff from it. So that's what I've been kind of doing. And it's worked probably 75% of the time. Because I was getting frustrated buying gold and I'm getting a weapon commendation on. I'm like, I don't want a weapon commendation. I want armor. I want emblems.
Yeah. See, in the bronze packs I've opened, I'll get Needlers, Mongoose, or I get XP bonuses.
In the silver? XP bonuses?
No, in the bronzes.
Oh, okay. I like those XP bonuses too.
Well, yeah, don't get me wrong. They're nice, but they don't do jack for you in Warzone as far as the gameplay.
Yeah.
So, I've been saving up my rec points and buying gold packs, and I've been getting my weapon certifications, which, like the other night, I got sniper rifle certification, so that's nice. But I don't know. Maybe I'll try some silver packs and see if I can. I'm just not getting real lucky when it comes to vehicles.
See,
the vehicle stuff is probably going to be in the gold range, maybe silver.
Like I said, I haven't got any vehicles out of gold packs yet.
The thing that I'm after most... Oh, good.
I was just going to say, you can get a lot of XP or rec points out of just playing Warzone. So if it is something where you're trying to unlock those vehicles, unfortunately, the best way to get rec points is to play Warzone. And I did find that when we were playing yesterday in our event, there are, like, if you have a good strategy, and there was one time when we were on March on Stormbreak, I believe it is, the snow Warzone map.
Yeah, the second game we played last night, we pretty much dominated the match.
And they had 6 or 7 tanks.
Well, we also had 6 or 7 tanks too.
Not that we didn't have nearly as many as they did. I think Laird spawned 2, and they had at least 6 or 7 Scorpions alone.
Mm-hmm.
And we just held down the fortress to the point where we could take out the tanks.
Well, that's also goes to player skill too. You can get a tank, but if you can't use it, it's pretty worthless.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm great with a tank, but I can, with a little team support, I can hold my own with a tank.
True.
And the biggest thing is just getting somebody to jump in the turret.
Right. And making sure that they have your back and have the rest of your teammate actually call out and put fire on anyone trying to charge you to plant a grenade or something. So I wanted to touch on a map real quick, and because this is the one that we played on a lot last night, March on Stormbreak. There's a few key strategies, I think, for this one. Definitely push for the fortress right after the doors open when you clear the base. There's going to be the first AI boss, Commander Lochagos. You want to take him out. You definitely want to get the points on the AI boss, even if the other team is kind of dominating and holding kind of the top area. If you can sneak a few guys in the back to take out the AI, then getting that AI boss count instead of getting the fortress at first is going to be very helpful. But it is something that we're going to need to turn around and take the fortress. The fortress is definitely key to winning this map. If you hold the fortress, you are likely going to win the match on Stormbreak For the other AI bosses, though, there's going to be a lot that spawn down on the landing bays at either armory, and I find that those get forgotten about a lot. So something that I was talking about strategy-wise last night is always have a guy spawn back at the armory every minute or so just to make sure that no one's missing those AIs, because that's 50 easy points or 25 easy points, depending on which AI is there, to help keep the lead. And another thing too, at least for Stormbreak, which happens a lot, you will get people that will flank and try to grab your armory. It happens, at least whenever I've played it, it happens a lot. So you'll want to have someone spawn back there as well to call out whether or not you have enemies trying to flank around the backside of the fortress and basically block your spawn back there. Granted, I did find that if you hold the fortress, you still have a good chance of winning if they even have the two armories, because you are dead center there on the big AIs. So you have the warden that spawns behind the fortress, and then you have the commanders from both the Prometheans and the Covenant side that spawn out on the fortress landing zone. And those are some of the big ones. So if you maintain the fortress, then you'll actually get a lot of the boss AI points, or at least a significant majority of them. But definitely, so it's, in my opinion, it's something to watch out for, is there's people sneaking around back. Do you guys have any other tips that you can think of for Stormbreak? Those are the big ones for me.
Not really. No, that's not the one I usually play. I usually play Arc. Even then, I don't know too much on it.
Yeah, I haven't spent enough time with the maps to really develop any good extra strategies.
A couple other things, I guess. Whenever you're trying to get into the base, if the enemy team is taking it, sneak in the bottom, and there's a few places that you can hide and prevent them from capping. So if you own the base and they just kind of overwhelmed your team, then have some people sneak in the bottom, have them push down, draw them out, and have them scattered to where you can actually have some other teammates come in from the top and run some cleanup. I find that's a pretty decent, if you have a good push, that is, if you have a lot of people pushing in with you, that's a decent strategy to at least get rid of some of the people that are in there. And then you just have to make sure that there's not another swarm trying to flank you or get in there from either their base or outside in the loading area for the fortress. And make sure you always equip your bonuses whenever you're in Warzone or Arena. I find a lot of people forget to do that, and it's always something I'm constantly reminding myself to do. And I'll chat it out in the party chat or the game chat saying equip your bonuses, because you do get probably, at least I've seen, maybe one bonus per pack. So definitely use them, because that's just that much more XP or rec points that you get.
Which leads to more rec packs.
Indeed. So that's kind of the big tips that I have for Stormbreak. Does anyone else in the chat have some tips that they want to throw out? Another big one, obviously, if you have taken the time to study the maps, write down when the AI bosses spawn, especially the Warden, because the Warden is usually that game changer. If you're down and you get fire on the Warden, if you take it out, then you have a good chance of actually coming back and winning. That Warden is, most of the time, I would say 9 times out of 10, whoever kills that Warden, unless you're just being completely demolished, that Warden decides the fate of the game.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. In most cases. Like, I mean, there's some cases that were a little bit different, but...
Yeah, I mean, if you're low enough in points, it doesn't matter what you do, you're not going to win.
Not quite.
You know, the Warden, I kind of wish he was a little less of a damage sponge and was just harder to kill in the way that, you know, he doesn't just stand there and take it.
He does take a crap ton of damage.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he should be easy to kill, but it would be nice if he was hard to kill because he was a challenge to hit. And stuff like that would also help with the guy from sniping him across the map. But
yeah, true.
I mean, I find, you know, the hunters a lot more challenging to kill than the Warden as far as, you know, difficulty to hit them, because, you know, the hunters move around. They turn, you know, they they turn and face you with that shield, and then you have to maneuver to get back around behind them. Where the warden, it's just everybody shoot him.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that if you get the lucky shot, you get the lucky shot. That's kind of the Warzone has a lot of randomness to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just from the fact that you do have people calling them rec packs, rec cards, and you have the AI bots and all that stuff.
I would just, stating that the warden, I would like the warden fight to be a lot more dynamic and not just everybody standing around pouring fire on him.
It makes it interesting.
I mean, he's harder to kill in the campaign than he is in Warzone.
I don't think that's necessarily true. Look at how many people you have shooting at him in Warzone.
No, I meant as far as a difficulty scale. In Warzone, he's just a bullet sponge.
He's a bullet sponge in campaign, too.
Yeah, but he's a challenge to hit as well.
Well, he's a challenge to hit in Warzone. It's just he doesn't move around much because the AI is dumb to the point where it can't decide which enemy to fight.
Like I said, it's just... I would like it if he was less of a bullet sponge and just, more mobile.
Yeah. Imperfections in Warzone. It's going to happen. So that's going to wrap it up for, let's see, we got Mission 1 covered. We talked about March on Stormbreak, and we talked some strategy for that. We'll do a new campaign mission and new map next week. I have a few little clips from the New York launch that I'm going to play. Some people standing in line, waiting to buy the game. Some people actually playing Halo 5 Guardians before the release and all that stuff. So I have a few audio clips I'm going to play for you guys right now and hope you guys enjoy. So I'm here at the New York event. We just have a gentleman that just won a Warzone match just by a hair of actually getting an AI boss. What was it like playing Warzone?
That was great. It was great. It was actually awesome. Something new that Halo brought to the table. That's awesome. It's like, I can't even describe the words. You gotta just play it to feel the achievement and stuff and everything. But it was great. I love, and then my team came through and we won the Warzone. You know what I'm saying? So that was great. I love that. That was awesome.
What are you most excited about for Halo 5?
The new stuff, all the new things in it. It's time waiting for it. So I see they added the jetpack in there, new stuff, everything. Throw the grenades, multiplayer. I'm on multiplayer placer, so especially you can play with more people now. Now you got the Warzone and all that. They added a little bit more different things, so it's great. That's great. And me experiencing it for the first time is awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, have a good time, man.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
All right, I'm at the New York event standing in line with some people waiting to play some Halo 5 multiplayer. What's your name?
Brian.
Brian, you're about to play some either Warzone or Arena. If you had your pick, which one you're going to try to play?
I'd like Warzone because there's more people. I'm going to kill more people.
What's about Warzone that is really exciting to you, or what's kind of the new thing that you were looking to really try in Warzone?
I just want to see what it's like with a bunch of neutral monsters around, creatures around, and elites and stuff. And the maps just seem more expensive, and there's more vehicles and stuff to try out, so I want to try those. Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you're really looking forward to try in Warzone, or is there just kind of some power weapon or vehicle that you just want to go to town with, or what's most excited for you about Warzone?
I want to be like this guy right here and get a Wraith like he's about to get. He just selected a Wraith, yeah. And otherwise, I'm super excited about just customizing and doing like long shot BRs and whatever. It looks super new. I just want to try it out. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, Warzone's definitely a lot of fun. Hope you get to play it and enjoy it. I think you are definitely next in line for it. So hope you get to have some. So.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
All right, I got a few people in here waiting for buying their copy of Halo 5, pre-ordering it here at the New York store. What's the most exciting thing about Halo 5 that you're most excited about?
I think the most exciting thing about Halo 5 is being able to aim down the sights, just like the games that I've been playing before. And I'm just really excited about the soundtrack as well because I'm studying music and film. So the soundtrack is a huge thing for me, and the composer is absolutely incredible, Kazuma, and I'm really excited to hear the soundtrack with the game itself.
How long have you been playing Halo?
Well, I've been playing Halo since Halo 1 came out, and when I got Halo 4, I just had such a great story because I got it the day of my friend's birthday, and we just played it all night long, and we beat the campaign on Legendary. Just had the most incredible time I've had in my entire life, and I just loved it.
What do you think of this whole Hunt the Truth thing with Team Chief and Team Locke? What do you think of all that?
I think it's a brilliant marketing campaign that's definitely sucked me into buying the game. So I love it.
Awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy Halo 5.
Have fun playing the game, and we'll see you online.
Thank you very much.
All right, I am in line for some other people waiting to buy the game for Halo 5. Tell us your name.
I'm Brendan.
Brendan, what is it about Halo 5 that has you excited?
Well, I really like Halo 4. I got the Master Chief Collection, Xbox One. I'm really excited to see sort of continuation of the storyline, new graphics, new physics engine, gameplay, all that. Multiplayer. Gotta love the multiplayer.
What do you think of being able to play as 4 different people within these fire teams?
Well, I'm interested to see sort of like how that affects the gameplay. It's one thing to say you can play as 4 different people, but it needs to have some sort of effect in order for it to be really enticing and motivating. Yeah.
What's kind of the one particular thing that you're going to play when you first get home? Is it going to be campaign, arena, Warzone? What are you going to get whenever you first pop the game in?
Yeah, it's going to be the campaign. Yeah, I think it's the really compelling sci-fi storyline. I think that's sort of what brings Halo together. The multiplayer is like what brought huge amounts of people, but I'm in it for the campaign. Yeah.
Well, hope you enjoy the game. Thank you for coming out, and we'll see you online.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
So I'm here with someone playing the campaign, playing on blue team. What's your name?
First name is Gerard.
Hi, Gerard. So what do you think of the campaign so far?
I think it's awesome, man. I think the gameplay runs very smoothly. It's very fluent. Nothing negative to say so far, man. Excellent game.
What do you think is going to be the team to play for? Fire Team Osiris or Blue Team?
I can't say, man. I have no biased judgment, but I definitely go with the Fire Team Osiris, I have to say.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is campaign going to be the first thing you play when you get home?
Probably. Absolutely. And after that, straight to multiplayer.
Well, thanks for taking a little bit of time. Hope you enjoy the game.
Thanks for the interview, man. It was a pleasure.
So that was a few different audio bits that we managed to pull from the New York event that I attended. Haas, I know you went out to the Seattle event. Did you get to meet any new people there?
I met Kenny Follower for the first time in person. And then outside of that, it was just a bunch of kind of just random fans and people all sharing the common interests, and then 343 and Microsoft employees. Phil Spencer showed up. Kiki was there, and Quinn and Josh Holmes. So it was cool. Bravo showed up. Unishek ended up showing up a little bit later on as well. So Kenny Follower was pretty much the only new person I really met that has been online. So I did actually run into a GameStop employee. He called me out a couple days after launch. I was just in there walking around, and he's like, "Oh, you were at the Microsoft launch, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah, all right." But
strange things happening.
Quit stalking me.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the opening at the Microsoft store out here. I was unable to get out of work on time, so.
Oh. Know how that goes.
Wow, did you do anything special for lunch?
I was just at a local GameStop launch event. We watched the Halo Live the entire time we were there most of the time. So the only thing that was interesting is that I was wearing a Team Cheap pass where I got it.
The one from E3?
Yeah.
Very nice. Making all those people envious. And we got a couple people in the chat actually saying or talking about their experience. Mending Mercy said his Microsoft Store launch experience was crappy, which is unfortunate. The New York one was crazy.
Well, it's New York.
True. We had people from the Colonial Division of the 405th come out and cosplay. We had 10 people or so there, and I was garnered as their official photographer, and I actually just sent those pictures over to them today. So if you go over to the 405th Colonial page, they should be up they'll most likely be up by the time you listen to this podcast after it's been edited. They should be up there by then. I would be surprised if they're not. There are some pretty cool costumes there. I would want to say, and if there's anyone else from the Pacific Division listening to this, you guys got some competition in terms of armor design, because there were some pretty legit armors on the Colonial side of things. I was rather impressed by some of the designs that they came out with. There's definitely some quality to some of their armors that's just like, whoa, how did you do this?
There was definitely someone there that was a really big fan.
Yeah, Janina went just gaga over everything, all the 405th, all their armor. Like, she was going over and touching all the armor, touching all the weapons. It was crazy. She was just as much of a nerd as probably any one of us would be when we would see someone from the 405th for the first time. It was
fun
just
watching
awesome.
that on the stream.
Yeah. Oh, that was mild compared to how she was in person, going around and
I believe it.
Filling all the Spartans up.
She was really touchy-feely during her little segment.
Yeah, just a bit. But it was a lot of fun. That party was awesome. And before we wrap this up, I actually have one more audio clip. Got to interview Tim Longo for a short bit just regarding the launch of Halo 5 and the experience as it's been for the last couple months. So we're going to roll that clip real quick, and then we will wrap up the show.
All right, we are here after the New York event, just here closed. I am here with Tim Longo. I think he needs no introduction.
Oh. Come on.
Creative director for Halo 5. So how's it been for the launch so far? We got quite a few fans come in, play Warzone, play campaign, play arena. How is it seeing all these fans come out and play the game that it's now everyone's playing at home?
It is completely surreal. I mean, this my first Halo game, right? First Halo game I've worked on, so I didn't really know what to expect, and I knew the main reason that I wanted to come out to New York was for the fans, and that was my theory at least. And now that I'm here, it definitely was the right call. I missed being with the team for sure back in Seattle, but being with everyone out here and just seeing people play live, being at the countdown to midnight, with everybody, and just the line of people, so flattering, so humbling, and it's like I said, surreal. I still can't believe that there's everyone's playing right now back in their homes, and I'm here, so I got to get home so I can play with everybody. It's so exciting now. And I'm so glad you're here, man. It's so nice to see you and have a familiar face. So.
Well, it was nice to be out here. It was cool actually being able to hang out with the 405th. I was kind of their pseudo-official photographer for the evening, so we got lots of cool pictures. We had the Halo 5 wall with Lock and Chief, so we got some pretty cool pictures with that. And seeing Jana Gavankar here, who's the voice of Pharaoh and Maya Sankar from Hunt the Truth, which the finale also came out earlier today, which was so awesome.
Really orchestrated. It's just crazy how all this stuff, like Rob and the team, everyone in marketing and PR, everything comes together at one time. I'm really flabbergasted. Never seen anything this orchestrated before. They did a good job. And then this event, some more excited people over there. I think they just won a breakout match. Usually that's what it is. Just this event was cool. Just all, everything happening at once. It was fun.
Yeah. And then there was a 6-hour live stream, which was orchestrated between so many different places across the globe. I think there was London, New York, something in Australia, the UK, like something everywhere. Seattle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Times Square, it's like the countdown of the ball dropping or something. It was crazy.
We had an actual countdown in the store of it going to midnight.
Yeah, as I do as a tradition in my family, we jump up in the air, right? So our feet can't be touching the ground at midnight. So I made sure that was off to tell my wife. Yeah.
So did you get to talk to any fans while you were out here? Actually get to see what kind of the general excitement was for the game?
Yeah, no, we talked to a lot of fans, and like I said, it's just so humbling and fun to hear them talk about how much fun they're having. I'm all about gameplay, and so I want people to have fun playing the game. I mean, the game looks great, of course, and we have a great art team, etc. But if it feels good and plays well, and people seem to really be having fun, like we were talking about, when you hear the screams after a match, whether they're through being pissed off or whether or whether they're happy that they won, that means we're doing our jobs. I think that people have that, and we had some close games here tonight, some Warzone games, and comes back from killing the warden boss or something like that. Just so cool. And people just seem to really love Warzone, which I'm excited about because it's kind of our big bet, right? It's a new big thing, and we weren't sure. We're still not sure, so we're going to keep an eye on it. And it's fun to watch people play campaign as well. People want to work with those fire team members. So.
Well, it's been a long 3 years for you to make it to this point. We're actually launching Halo 5 Guardians. How does it feel? Is it like a sudden relief, or you still think to the next thing with more DLC coming out? What's kind of the emotions that are going through through your head right now?
That's a good question. I wish I could describe it. I think shock is one I would still have. Confused. I don't really know what's going on. Again, this is definitely the biggest game I've ever been involved with as far as just its launch and everything. So I'm just over kind of whelmed with everything. Yeah, just shock, confusion, excitement. It's weird to know that everyone's out there playing it, and I wanna see what the response is, and I think someone's having a good time over there.
In the background.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm drained. I haven't had a chance really to settle down much. None of the team really has, right? We've been kind of up until the end. So tired is another thing that's in there. But yeah, we have a bunch of free maps we got to get out to the people, right? So like the team is working hard on that stuff, and we're kind of not stopping. So we need to kind of take a break at some point. Yeah.
Well, I think you guys have earned a most deserved break after the summer of conventions that you guys have been to, pushing Warzone, pushing the campaign. I mean, we had the big showing at E3 with the big campaign reveal and all the cool Warzone experiences. The HoloLens experience was awesome to see, and then just all the conventions there on out. You guys have been slamming it down for all the promotion and the press, and it's just been awesome. And to finally have it in our hands has been so fun to play.
Yeah, we like Kevin and I were saying when we were at the autograph table, which was cool to be at an autograph table to begin with, right? Which is so totally flattering. But then that was the first time we actually held the game box in our hands. Was someone brought it up, and I hadn't even had one yet, and that's just cool. It's you're part of making something really cool, that people really want, and to be a part of that for the team and with such a great team, I'm really flattered and humbled. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations on a successful launch. It has been a freaking nervous wreck, I'm sure, for you guys and for us waiting at home to finally get our hands on it. So, what's the one thing you would have to say to everyone out there as they start their journey into Halo 5?
It's really simple. It's just have fun. I just want people to have fun, and I hope that it still is the Halo that everyone wants it to be. So, have fun out there.
Thank you, guys. This is Duststorm signing off.
And I want to give a huge shout out to Tim Longo for actually taking the time after such an exhausting day of traveling to New York and signing everything to do that. We recorded that at 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Tim's a really cool dude. We got to run into him, I would say, 25 times at E3?
Yeah, we ran into him a lot.
And the thing is like every single time he always asked, how's everything going with the, what did you enjoy most? And it was mostly at the Halo 5 booth when we seen him, but it was cool to talk with him after we experienced the HoloLens experience. You went the day before I went, but he got both of our opinions on it, and it was just, he was fully immersed into our conversation, and he really, he was, if you guys ever get the chance to meet him or talk to him, he's a cool dude to talk with.
Definitely. And we will have him on the podcast. It is something that he's interested in being on the podcast. Josh Holm is definitely interested in being on the podcast. The pro team's interested in being on the podcast. I think Grim wants to be on the podcast at some point. So there are people that we will get on the podcast here in the next few months. People from 343, people. We had Noah, Ian, and Andrew on from Hunt the Truth last week for the finale. That was awesome.
Definitely.
We'll have them on probably again for one more follow-up, try to get some of the other voice actors from Hunt the Truth on. So if there's people that you want us to try to get on, definitely reach out to us, because there are people within 343 that are more than happy to talk now that the game's out. That will wrap it up for us tonight. It's been quite a longer podcast given the format, but we did all right. I think we'll be a little more stringent on the time constraints for next time, but we'll do something very similar next time, where we'll do a campaign mission, maybe 2 if we get lucky. We'll do another multiplayer map, and then we'll talk about any news that comes up, any submissions that we get. So if there's anything Halo related that you guys want to send to us, whether it's a funny clip, whether it's a funny story, something else that's Halo related, then definitely send it to us. We would love to talk about it on the podcast. If you have any ideas regarding any of the stuff that we talked about tonight, we would love to hear your opinions on them and read them on the show. So please do that. We would be very happy to hear from you guys and have input onto it, because this is as much of a community show as it is our show. And we kind of want to make that a point. We would like to get as many submissions that we used to get back in the day, but we realize that's probably not going to happen with just how diluted everything is nowadays. But anything that you guys want to send our way, we'd be happy to talk about. One more thing, I put out a Twitter poll, and I think this is something I might do every week for the podcast, but this is on my personal one. I'll do it on the Podtacular Twitter for next week. But I asked the question, which one is better, get wrecked or get spanked? So I'm going to ask everyone here what their choice is before I read the final results. So, Bio, get wrecked or get spanked? Same thing goes for the Twitch chat.
I like get wrecked. I use that term a lot. So I think I'm going to go with that.
And this is get wrecked with the REQ. So
Yeah, I know. I seen it.
All right. Haas?
I like Get Spanked because it's nostalgic, but Get Wrecked is definitely easier to use and a lot more simple.
Okay. GT?
Depends on who's doing the spanking.
Ooh.
Oh.
Let's say Palmer.
Yeah, I'll definitely correct
No,
them.
Or Vale.
that's not my thing.
Or Locke?
That's not my thing.
Chief?
You know that. You know who's got the hots for Palmer. Oh God. And I thought my mind was screwed up.
Oh man.
Sorry, we just went to a really dark corner in the podcast. It's a good thing we're wrapping up.
Really quickly.
So the majority vote in the Twitch stream too. We got 5 votes for wrecked, and the final Twitter poll out of 135 votes, 70% get wrecked, 30% get spanked. So
sorry, spanker.
There you go. And we'll do another poll like that for next week. We'll do it on the Podtacular Twitter instead of my own personal one. We'll see what kind of traction we get. But I figured something kind of fun and interesting to do. We may mirror that on the Facebook page as well, so people can vote in 2 different places. But I figured it'd be something a little cool to do for each podcast. And if anyone has any recommendations for doing a 2-choice poll that they would like to have us read on the podcast and have us ask our community, then feel free to send some recommendations over. In addition to any of the other Halo stuff, you can send that over to submissions@podtacular.com or hit the big green submit button on our homepage, and that'll take you to a form that will send that email to us for you. You can also call our listener voicemail 240-200-HALO and leave a Halo-related message, whether it is from a funny story that you have in Halo, to something awesome that you did, to a custom game that you come up with, and whenever Forge comes out next month, any cool creations or screenshots that you have, feel free to talk about that, send it over in the email. You can also record a little voice clip if you have something like Audacity to record, and then email that to us, and we'll play that on the show as well. We're also thinking about starting a new Machinima series, and it's going to be regarding ways to die in Halo 5. So if you have any quirky ways that you've died in Halo, then please let us know, and we will credit you on any submissions that we get. And whenever we do highlight them in our Machinima series, then we'll obviously put your gamer tag there as a shout out. And finally, make sure you check out the podcast network. We are part of a conglomerate of gaming specific shows like Guardian Radio, Critscast, The Learning Cliff, Work in Progress, and How to Murder Time. So if you head on over to podka.st, you'll find them over there. Lots of great podcasts, lots of good quality podcasts. So if you're looking for something just to entertain you during work, check them out. Or if you're interested in any one of those games, then also check them out as well. As far as the contests are concerned, we will be posting those, or starting to post those, after the conclusion of this live broadcast of the podcast. We will be putting up 2 or 3 tonight, and then we'll be releasing more over the weekend. And we'll be concluding those contests by next podcast for a majority of them, and then the following podcast for the rest. And we'll make the announcements on who the winners are for those. But the Astro A40s, the Halo 5 ones, the 2 controllers, and maybe something else. Maybe the strategy guide. We'll be posting the contest for those tonight. So those will be available over the weekend for you, and those will conclude next Thursday. So make sure you guys check those out. We'll be putting tweets out about it. We'll be putting posts out about it. Make sure you don't miss it. That'll wrap it up for us tonight. Thank you everyone who tuned into the live stream. Thank you everyone for downloading the show and listening to us on whatever device you're listening to, whether it's on the web or whether it's through iTunes or Xbox Music or whatever other podcast aggregator that you have. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to listen to us and support the show. That's going to wrap it up, and we will see you guys next time. Keep on fragging Rex.